All right, let's start. You all see my screen, right? Yeah. The first thing I want to say is thank you everyone for being excellent to each other in a pretty tricky situation, and I think we did pretty well. Uh, Thank you to all the participants. We kicked off this event on an empty location, an awesome but a completely empty location because we did it totally online. Um, we had like 70, almost 80 participants on the kickoff time. I also want to thank, of course, all the sponsors and partners who made this possible. And also super important, all the community partners that help to make Zurich, and the team. Without like I'm usually the one speaking, but there's a lot of people involved in creating this event and making it the thing that it is. And it's really hard to summarize this whole week in a few minutes. And this presentation is intended to be for the teams and not for us speaking. So I will only go through a lot of pictures that I want to just show. We started super like on an empty location via a Zoom call. Then we had workshops when the open week started. We had batches. We had Blinkenfest. We had workshops with CO2 sensing. We had COVID COVID app scanning. We had on-site visits to the challenge places. We had Zoom calls. We had some people here at some point. Some people that even traveled, like Emmanuel in this picture from Geneva. We had cats watching demo scene stuff. We had more LEDs turning, blinking, teams focused. We had electronics and the Smurfs. We had more Zoom calls. We had demo scene. We had people focused. Um, we had more stuff. We had awesome graphics. We had some soldering stuff, electronics. We had stickers and labels in for the pandemic edition of Make Zurich. We had glasses with crazy stuff attached to them. We had pizza. We had art. We have more work. We had even babies and gigantic oscilloscopes on a gigantic screen. Yeah, it was amazing, really. I have to be honest, I didn't think that this event could be made online, but it happened, and I think it was pretty awesome thanks to you. So yeah, thank you all. I'm gonna switch to Marcus, who has something cool to show of the brief but interesting history of Make Zurich.
Thank you, Gonzalo. Yes, it's a lot of fun, but it's also something of value that is coming out. And here we have a really a great example. Pierre just posted this picture recently on our Slack channel. So I thought, hey, let's briefly show what's has been coming out of this groundwater meter challenge that Ivic had provided 3 years ago. He was one of the hackers that, so Pierre was one of the hackers that was working on that challenge, and it was about to measure the pressure and temperature of groundwater that we are actually using for our heat pumps, and these are partly really huge systems. And yes, uh, till then, actually, we just had like a data locker. That some employees from EVZ had to go and grab from a tube every year, one, and that was a lot of effort. Sometimes data got lost, and thanks to that challenge and to the work of teams in Make Zurich, um, a solution came out, and I just give here an impression of it. So this is a picture I took. It's more than a year, almost 2 years. It's 2 years ago. Uh, this on the left, you see this heat pump, actually this heat and cooling system, which is not far away from here. So it's actually close to the Prime Tower. And here on the left, you see a colleague, Walter Schnieder, who actually presented the challenge 3 years ago. He's opening, how to say, a dam, or this Schachdeckel in German. And there you have this tube, and you see which is going to the groundwater. And here you see the sensor and the LoRa device from Decent Lab and the Keller sensor, which basically is the solution came out of the Make Zurich hackathon, and this solution is still in function, and we are going most likely to increase the usage of it. So we will have more of these applications, and this is just an example to show that we really appreciate the work you are actually doing, and hopefully there are some solutions coming out today that we can use as well in the future. Thanks very much for working on all that great challenges we have.
Thank you, Marcus. All right. Let's move to the team presentations. Excellent stuff by excellent human beings. We will start with Gandalf, who has an amazing selection of projects that he worked on. Gandalf, you want to start sharing your screen directly?
Yeah, I gladly. A bit of a technical issues with my host disabled participant screen sharing. Can you allow me to share?
Now it should work.
Yeah, let's see what happens. Oh, fuck, I might have to exit Zoom to give it permission to actually share the fucking screen. Wait now, sorry, I'll be back in a second.
All right.
Yes, I seem to be back and sharing the screen. So I pitched a lot of projects. I went, actually, I came pretty late to the party. I only realized Make Zurich was happening when it was already happening. I'm very thankful I got a late sign up and was equipped with the badge to start it. The reason why I was interested, well, partly because I've missed all the other events and they sounded great. So this year, I definitely wanted to make it. And also, yeah, I've got some projects in Bitfish that are going in perspective of the Chaos Communication Congress that will be happening between Christmas and New Year's. It turns out this cannot be happening in Leipzig this year due to reasons like gathering 15,000 people in a single location from across the world does not seem like a good idea. So the Congress has to happen in some remote kind of fashion. And I was thinking about that and preparing some things with it, about it, and I kind of decided to make Zurich to work on some related projects, basically. So my first idea, oh, also, it's Halloween, and I have to win a contest with regards to costumes, which is why I've been working on this. It's not quite done yet. So the idea of this is, well, to get as many blinky lights as possible, is this is an interesting one. It's a uranium glass marble, and if you shoot it, it's built by Florian Bittner, Overflow from Vienna. So you shoot UV light at a glass marble, uranium glass marble, you will get pretty fluorescent So that's supposed to go somewhere around here. And I've got these gobbles that I still need to attach. I've got the controller board right here, which is basically the official Make Zurich badge. It now features a CO2 sensors thanks to some Sirion. It's got a Nokia display to output values, and it's got a glass control bus to attach these, but I haven't got around to doing that, so that is still work in progress. Apart from that, I've been writing a lot of code. To begin with, I wrote a lot of sample applications, a demo code for the batch, which I think was well received in the community. Displaying with the different sensors on the board, temperature, audio, to get the LEDs to play rainbow cycles, and the distance sensor. So this was like studies to write the code that I actually need to write for my final version of this controller of my costume. That's still to be done. Apart from that, I've been doing some work on the RC3 Lounge starter kit, which is, I will show you here. So that's regarding the lounge at Bitwäscherei. And I can show you what it's all about. The lounge is back here. And I started experimenting with well, basically, this is the initial version of the lounge, so you can build your lounge. It's got audio, it's got a speaker. So everything's there you need to build a lounge. As a complementary service, I started Suchtgift as a service, which is an experiment providing free narcotics to the community. You have to bear in mind, this is from a legal perspective, this is okay. Small quantities of narcotics are straffrei. Besitz geringfügiger Mengen ist straffrei. I'm just saying, anyway, we're out of Suchtgift, so that's not really a concern right now. But it's been well received, and yeah, let's see how that goes. The next project I pitched was video roulette. You've seen chat roulette, so yes, that concept has been done before. That is, connect strangers via video, see what happens. The problem is, a lot of times, nasty stuff happens that is not really something people want to see. I pitched the idea of finding ways to avoid random penis appearances. Didn't get my feedback, couldn't spend much time on it, so this seems like a rather hard problem to address. That's as far as I'm going to go with it. Where is it? I'm trying to get to this tab, but there's Zoom in the way. So the next pitch is Postkarten as a service, which is in the context of Chaos Post. Right, I've got a visitor here. Ich bin da wirklich am Präsentieren. Okay. So yeah, this is about running a Chaos Post office at the Bitwäscherei, the Zweigstelle Bitwäscherei. And I actually started building it. It was running at the beginning of Maker, but it somehow ended up over here because the space over there is required by some other event right now. But I will be putting that back into service. It provides free community services in postal communications as well as telecommunications. So that's text, analog telephony, incoming, outgoing, free of charge, covered by donations. Oh, a new service we launched today is unboxing, parcel unboxing as a service. So Marc Dusselier received a shipment from China and asked for a remote unboxing service. So we implemented that. You can find the video link below. And the final pitch I made, and this is the one I actually care for. I'm aware the other stuff is all a bit, you know, ankle as a service. So I feel industrialization has driven our generations apart. At some point in human history, people decided, okay, we'll put the youngest ones over here, we put the elderly over here, because everybody in the middle can go to the factory and work. And that is the model we're still running. And I think it's a rather cruel way of keeping people apart. So in order to get over that, so right now we have a bit of an issue with mixing people together physically. In order to remedy that, I'm proposing a service to connect our youngest and oldest community members via postal services. It can be in the form of a postcard, it can be phone calls, it can be video calls. So the concept is, for example, I'll give you an example for the postcard. Let's say children's, a daycare center and a retirement home get together and start suggesting pen friendships. So children can go like, yes, I would like to write a postcard to some granny. And some elderly person says like, yes, I will write a postcard to a 5-year-old. So they start exchanging postcards, and postcards get delivered to the other side, maybe reviewed for obscene content. And then people can start writing back and forth. So that's the analog, very analog version. I'm a huge fan of postcards. I think it's a service that has been neglected a bit. And it just has a much deeper, it has so much more emotional value to see somebody's handwriting, to see a painting somebody did, and it's going to last forever. You put it on your fridge and look at it every day. So that is the pitch I'm trying to make here. The more is you have a person looking after the children at a children's place, you have a person looking after the elderly at an elderly home. Both have a phone with WhatsApp. Start the video call because them, and then kind of either walk around the place and connect people randomly, like, oh, like, hey, Nina, 5-year-old, this is Dorothea, she's 80 years old. Put them together, let them have a chat. So this is the pitch I'm trying to make here. I haven't been able to talk to the people from Senioren Residence, part of the sponsors, but I would very much like to get in touch with them to move this idea forward. So that's about it from my side. And I would very much like to thank the organizers for organizing this event, the sponsors for sponsoring all the awesome hardware, and everyone for participating and making this an extremely great experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gandalf. Pretty awesome stuff. Pretty awesome stuff, really. Yeah, I think we should clap somehow. Let's not do the reaction thingy. Let's just unmute and clap a little bit, man, or make some noise somehow, like. Excellent. Cool. All right. The next one is graffiti honeypot. Like, Derek?
Mute and turn on the video and stuff. So I got to share a screen here. Let me just do that. I didn't actually get a lot done. The idea was to monitor an area for graffiti activity and report it up to the LoRaWAN server. And I set up a GitHub for that, and we're a little bit along. I can show you the application. I have it beside me, and I'm going to wave my hand in front of the sensor to turn it on, and that will send a packet over to the LoRaWAN network, which has an event ID, which is a supposedly unique ID, and that the fact that the motion sensor is on, and the start time of the event. And it'll do that. If I do another one, it will do a different UUID. And if I keep waving my hand in front of the sensor as if I'm a graffiti artist or whatever, it will send a repeated one. So these are different IDs. It was hard to get an actual different ID from a random thing in Arduino. There is apparently no random numbers. but each of these events is going to be a random one saved to disk. So where I'm at now is I have the functionality working, but I need to signal the end of the event. So I'm looking for a fall or an edge detection on the sensor going down. And then I will send off one last payload to the LoRaWAN network. And that will have, instead of having motion true, it'll say motion false, and that will be the signal the end of the event. The trouble I guess I ran into was when we started. Let me try to get to the Arduino core for STML boards. Now, we were given two LoRaWAN things, and I played with one of them, and that's this one. And I immediately flashed it with a program, so I lost the modem. So I had to do everything as if this was my Arduino. It works okay, but the Arduino core for STM32L0 support from the grumpy old pizza guy doesn't apparently support interrupts, so I'm a bit stuck there. I have a couple of more ideas that I can get around to, but basically that's it. It's not much to show, not as much as Gandalf for sure. That's about it.
Thank you very much, Derek. So the next one would be Isaac with the Smart Becherai project. Isaac, are you around? Yeah. Awesome. Ah, Marina. Cool. Marina, we're not hearing you, Marina.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's Isaac's part, so he's supposed to be here and he's supposed to present because we shared the presentation for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw him in call, so.
We can jump to another one and then we'll come back to you if you prefer.
Okay, sorry, thank you.
No worries.
Sorry, hello. Hello?
Ah, there you are, there.
Okay, sorry. So basically, I'm saying that we present the Smart Becherai project that it's basically Marina and I who have been developing. The aim of the project basically is to detect the usage of washing machines and prevent people from having to go to the basement and discover that all the machines are being used. And also we developed an app where people can see in real time what is the usage of the machines and ideally also book some time slots for the machines. You can go to the next page. Basically, there's a first step that it's placing a sensor in the lateral of the machine. It's an accelerometer, which basically detects vibration. We have acquired data from the different stages of the wash. And here we can see, for example, a plot where the red corresponds to the machine being off and the blue corresponds to the machine doing like the main sequence. And this is amplitudes of the sensor. Next page. Then the next step, we can see here a picture of the machine with the sensor in the lateral. The next step is that the Arduino will determine if the machine is on or off from this sensor data and will send using a LoRa node the data to the cloud. We can see here, for example, in the plot, just a binary variable that it's either the machine off or on. And here we can see basically the board that we are using to send this data. We can go to the next. And then basically, finally, I mean, from the cloud, we have developed using React Native, an application for Android and iOS that allows the user to see the status in real time of the machines. And then if you click in one of the machines, you can just put your name and book the machine for the current hour. The idea a little bit is to also expand this application and allow, for example, a calendar or something. And here we can see a live video that explains a little bit like the different steps. So the machine basically is on, the sensor detects this vibration and then sends via LoRa to the cloud. And then from the cloud, it returns to the phone, and then the user can see the status of the machine.
For me, I would take a bit more of UX and UI part. So here's the app evolution. We started with some basic sketches, how it should be to see the functionality. Then we went and we created the first variant of UI phone of UI screen, and we tried the user testing to understand how users works with the application. So the main idea was that the user were able to understand that some machines are occupied, some machines are free, and then they were able to book the machine. And during the project, we got some, of course, accomplishments that the sensor provides the good data to work with, and it was successful communication with the cloud. And we succeed to develop an application for real-time monitoring. We did also detailed UX research. We did UX persona, UX user flow, session of user testing, and accessible mobile application that would work for everybody. And for the future part, we would think and we would try to do the calendar to book machine days in advance. Then several rounds of user testing more to prove our ideas and to see what we can do more. Adding some new features to the applications since we did the metrics of visualization and of prioritization, we know now what we would like to try. And of course, business analysis to understand how we can work with it more in an economy way. And here you can see the sources, the GitHub repository and the Miro board with all UX part of the project. And here to the live demo how the application works on the mobile. So here you can see the dashboard that you choose the free machine, you put your name, and then it goes to occupied. And thank you for your attention.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you, folks. Good. Now we move to the next one. The next one is Tilo, if I'm not mistaken. Blip as a service. We cannot hear you, Tilo. Are you muted? Somehow hardware muted?
Yeah, it's better now.
Yes.
So, can I share the screen?
Yes.
Oh, annoying. Moment. Zoom has a bit of a problem with different virtual screens. Jeez. Do you see this? Yeah. I actually also, because of our C3 will happen probably at BitBasherai, decided to try to connect a synthesizer to the network, because in this time you cannot go to synthesizer, so we have to bring the synthesizer to you as a service. My ideas actually are to connect something like this to a Raspberry Pi over MIDI, and then the Raspberry Pi to a webcam, so it can be streamed, and then the user can send some requests to the synthesizer to actually change some values, as well as we are thinking to have at least during some times an operator there where you can actually call by landline to tell him to switch some knobs, whatever. Yeah. What I have is this interface thing. I got it yesterday. No, Friday. Yeah, yesterday. That's probably I didn't manage to get as far as I want because I had problems that this thing here, which is actually the MIDI controller to the synthesizer, used to crash a lot if you just send some random stuff because you don't know how MIDI actually works. Yeah, and then in the end I want to have also another, like the requests can be sent over LoRaWAN, maybe just over a Telegram bot because that's easy to do, over a Twitter bot also because that's easy to do. And then on the Raspberry I will running like something like Node-RED or N8N to actually do this whole stuff and process this whole stuff and make some MIDI messages out of it. And I played more or less all 2 days with MIDI and Python and had difficulties until I found out, like about half an hour ago, about that there is this small, cool, super Unix command line tools called send MIDI and receive MIDI, and it does only send MIDI and receive MIDI, and next step will be building that on the Raspberry and try it again. Yep, I think that's so far. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Tilo. We will leave the questions for later. We will break out later 2 rooms. All right. So the next project is called Granny Safe. From Frederick and Paul. Well,
yeah. Hello, this is us.
Hello.
So 1 second. I will try to share my screen. Okay. So can you see this?
Yes.
Perfect. Cool. So hello to all of you. Thank you for these awesome presentations as a start. This is a challenge done by Fred and myself. We are not IoT specialists at all, so it was a great experience and great dive into a foreign world. To start, we joined the Granular Challenge, and as a very start, we sat in Frau Gerald's garden last week and thought about what is the problem here actually. And we were thinking of a grandma. She's still very, very much in shape. And she enjoys her life, but she's not aware of a hidden risk. So we did some research and noticed people which are older than 65 years fall every year in 2 out of 3, or 2 out of 3 persons fall every year. And 5 to 10% of these cases are actually severe injuries. So we didn't know that, but it's actually pretty high risk for old people. And in times of IoT and a lot of edge devices, some solution like this would actually be very much straightforward. Having a wearable with an accelerometer and it detects, okay, somebody did some sudden movement, was it a fall or not? But the problem also Nina and her team from Alterswohnungen said is that the grannies don't really want that, because they do not want to be observed by intrusive sensor devices like cameras, microphones, and anything else. So this is why we think this challenge makes a lot of sense, and we are trying or heading towards an application which is privacy concerned and passive, and yeah, just gives a peace of mind to people or relatives and family of the granny that everything is working well. And so what we were thinking of a solution with multiple rather passive sensors, for example, the smart meter, which is already installed in many of the apartments in Alterswohnungen. Then something in the washroom, we developed that, or we used that water sensor to sense flushing of toilets, or something else like stairway occupancy in front of the door to notice when somebody's leaving or coming in. This is just as a start, but we were noticing that we need multiple variables or channels to actually notice when the granny is not only doing something like dating some other grandpa, or if there's actually something serious happening. Yeah, and our system, we have at the moment, or we were aiming for 3 sensors, but at the moment we installed the water sensor, send data to the Things network, and collect the data in our small app we have so far without a front end, unfortunately. And the goal is to do some anomaly detection with machine learning, but so far we are working on the data collection side. And what would be an emergency case? So here we merged our toilet flushing data with smart meter data we got in an open source data set, and just identified, for example, a case like this here in the afternoon. Out of the sudden, events like occupancy or flushing of the toilets are not happening anymore. Also, some peaks in the smart meter data are missing, which is the green line here, which could indicate that there's something bad happening. Yeah, and an alert should come up in the app. Yeah, let's look back what we actually did and on our journey. So we started with a very great success, actually getting some LEDs running. That was a good start for us. And then, yeah, installing the gateway, setting up the water sensor, actually managing to send data from the Arduino to the IoT network. With a lot of beer loops in the meantime and some pizza, we made it to actually being able to collect some data with an app. Yeah, and thank you very much. It was a great start for us in that world, in a great community. And yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, so thank you very much from my side. It was great to take part here.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Pretty awesome. Also clapping, making noise. The next project would be Have a Seat by Dennis, right?
Yes.
Dennis?
Okay. Give me just 1 second to connect my cell phone as well. So I hope you see also the electronics, and I need to share my screen. Did you give me permission?
Yes, you should have permission.
Me. Ah, here. Okay, I hope you see it all. So I was on the Move and Chill And the idea there was to find out how the chairs are used. And what we did is that we started with sensors to find out if someone is sitting. And this went very quickly. Actually, we just used the force sensing, and that worked quite out of the hand. And then, as we wanted to have as quick as possible an end-to-end solution, I started working on this library to be able to send the data to the things LoRaWAN then. I like to show you a live demo. Let's see if it works. So on the left one, you see the terminal. This is the output generated from the Arduino. In the middle, you have the console you already know. And on the right side, you have the ThingSpeak data, which is consumed somehow. And what I will do now, I hope you see it as well. I will just press the force sensing sensor. And of course, it doesn't work. Okay. That's always
demo effect. Yeah.
Demo effect. So, yeah, here you go. So now it should work. I don't know why this is somehow, I don't know, the Arduino sometimes goes to sleep when you don't use it for a longer time. So I'll start again. So I keep pressing. So it says the seat is taken. And during the time somebody is sitting on it, it just collects some data like the temperature and the light and so on. And when I release it, what it does, it calculates a summary of this data which was collected. In this case, I only sent four chunks of data, which I sent. This is a bit cryptic, but it's the one here below. So you see here T is for temperature and L is for light. And you see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 chunks. And it sends also the duration. So I pressed for 13 seconds. And if you have a look, then here it should be back here as well. So we have these 13 seconds. There's the light value and the temperature value. The 0 is, unfortunately, it looks like the payload formats you need to define in advance how many fields you have. So that's why I had to add 4. And even if you add 4, it just then doesn't work. You have to add 1 more. I don't know why. And yeah, this data, then I tried to get some summaries or some result. It sometimes look a bit weird if you just show it on the top. But I think what's, for example, interesting is to see if you look at the temperature and the time a person is sitting. So maybe you see, oh, at 10 degrees, people tend to sit less long than when it's 26. And at some point it's getting too hot, so people don't stay longer either. So that's about the end-to-end state we achieved. And as soon as we had that, we tried more sensors. So what we did, we added an infrared proximity sensor. I don't know if you see, I can show it. So this one is the infrared sensor. And we also tested the proximity here on the proximity sensor on the Arduino to check if a seat is taken or not. And all these 3 sensors work. From a comparison perspective, I think the infrared sensor works best because it's easily adaptable. And from a power consumption perspective, probably the force sensing sensor is the best one because there we can work with interrupts, and while nobody's sitting, it just doesn't consume anything almost because you can work with high resistors and that's it. And on the other 2 ones, you have to somehow pull the data and then you have to wake up and sleep all the time. and that takes a bit more of power. And then when we had that, we tried to find out if there's sun or not. And for that, we just took a simple photoresistor for now. And that's the light number you see. And for now, we just send a data which is between 0 and 255. And 255 means there's a lot of sun, and 0 means it's dark. Yeah, this is about the demo. What we learned, there's maybe 1 or 2 points I want to say. So the serial communication is a pain to work with. It's, for me, I thought it would be quite easy to just communicate with it when I did the library, but well, it's really complicated. Sometimes it doesn't work, and then you just don't know why, and it's like a black box, which makes it a bit difficult. And I would really rather love a device which has SPI or something like that, which is much more easy to debug at the end than having a black box. But yeah, so it is. And yeah, if you're looking at the challenges or the next steps as well, we would have here. So one big challenge is the geolocalization. So you see, we didn't send any data of where these chairs are, and that's because it's just a bit complicated. There's a GPS module, of course, but this one uses as well a serial port, and there we would have issues because we don't have any serial port available anymore. It also takes a lot of power and a lot of time to get the position. And at the end, we just didn't have any time to go further that way. Yes, that's about it. The rest, yeah, you can also read it.
Awesome stuff. Congratulations. And also personally, I want to thank you for contributing the library to the module. That actually enabled a lot of teams to send data over this.
Yeah, it was quite fun to do it. Thank you for the help as well.
Thanks a lot. Okay, next project would be Nana. That is Dragana and Thomas, right?
Yes, but Dragana has a fear to talk, so I'll take the lead to present.
Okay.
So I will present both my project, which is Layer, and Nana together.
But you want to present Layer later? At least that's what I got from Thomas, that you wanted to present Layer later.
We have the prototype in the making, so if we can present now and then show the prototype later at the end, if there is time, that would be great.
However you prefer. You can also present Nana now and Layer at the end, and then
Nana is integrated in Layer.
Okay, then as you wish.
Okay, so we are presenting Layer, which is a system alert for elderly people, and it uses a thermal camera to detect the person laying down on the floor, and a responsive pavement on the free available space of the floor. So the challenge is Granny Alert. And we started with an orientation talk with an organization that takes care of the elderly. And we took the workshop this week with Broody and Coco. And with that, we understood our users more with their fears and desires. We asked some questions like, do you feel you might want something like this? Like a sensor like this? Do you feel comfortable wearing something on your body? Does it bother you being monitored all the time? And where do you fall the most? This is a concept for now. We are building a small prototype, but it's not good for anything else. it's just for demonstration purposes. And we started with following some tutorials on Instructables to build a responsive LED panel with infrared lights, but the prototype right now uses photoresistors. And we use also the Adafruit thermal cam, which Gonzalo has right now because of some issues we had with the wiring. So we want to build an alert system based on this thermal camera to detect a person laying down on the floor. And we integrate it with an interactive infrared pavement on the free available space of the floor. So the idea is that when a large enough space is occupied, the alert will be triggered. Our key partners that will supply all the services and the material we need will be the Things Network and the chips and components distributors. Like for this prototype, we used Conrad. And the customer segment, we are targeting the organizations that work with the elderly, like SAW Zurich. We also want to offer this solution to families, so private homes and maybe hospitals. We will provide the hardware, the installation, and we can also extract some data and make a data analysis dashboard for a daily routine of the person who is walking around in the room. The cost, the expected cost is around $10 per meter squared for the interactive floor, and around $45 for the thermal camera, and $30 for the board. The challenges we ran into were about designing the product with the elderly in mind, because sometimes it's hard to understand their needs, what are their fears, their desires, and so on. And this is also my first ever experience in building circuits, so I really needed a lot of help for that. And the big question is if it will work in the bathroom. We still don't know if this is a viable solution. For example, to put this interactive floor inside the bathtub, and the thermal camera also might easily get confused with the steam from the hot water. But we can use a workaround and use the original idea to check the water consumption. This is not something that we built, but the organization in Zurich asked for that. And we have this different device, which is Nana, which is a detachable wearable sensor for detecting falls. We have right here the prototype that Thomas built, and it will detect falls. Yeah, it will detect falls with an algorithm we found online. It is detachable, so we can put it also on the wrist or on the chest, so we can also measure the heartbeat. You can basically wear it everywhere. And in the future, we hope we can make it waterproof too. So the things we learned are soldering and making PCBs. Okay, maybe not that. We found another solution, but for the original idea, we wanted to make some PCBs. And also another challenge that we had to take is to design the product with privacy in mind. So we took great care into building a non-invasive product that is nice to wear, and also with the floor, we thought that it is a little bit more approachable, and it doesn't interact with the body. Other thing we learned is that we can use the same solution basically to solve other problems, tangential problems, like tracking and analyzing the person's daily movement and determine from this its routine. What we are proud of is that we asked for help and work together. We're working for a good cause. We are learning new skills, and also the most important, which is playing with technology. So what's next? We want to build this prototype. It's still in the making. We hope that we can show something at the end. Then we will have to write the laying person recognition software for the thermal cam and for the interactive floor. We, I think, already have this recognition software for falls in the Nana, but we have to write it for the other two methods as well. Also we want to extract and analyze data to derive patterns in the person's daily life. Oh, okay, we have something ready. So Thomas can show, like the presentation is done. So Thomas, if you can show the live demo of a tile of the pavement, that would be great.
Yeah. Hello. We tried to build a tile of this smart floor. And I tried to show it without breaking it. It combines light sensors for each pixel and a controllable pixel. So if you fall, you would touch these sensors and the floor would light up. We're still finishing it, but it should be done soon. Pictures are in the Slack of it. And it will have LoRaWAN, of course, with the trusty old Arduino Mega. That's everything. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. You know, you're the first team that has multiple participants that are not in camera. And this is a difference from the physical events in which everyone is on stage. So for the rest of the teams, try to somehow like quickly introduce yourselves if you're not together in the same room or something. Otherwise, we just see the presenter. Good. Let's go to the next one. Next one is read on LoRaWAN, which is Emmanuel, both a challenger and a participant, and an on-site and off-site.
So can I do it like that? So I'm alone here in Geneva now, but I was not alone in working in this this hackathon. So I want to thank all the participants that contributed directly to this presentation. That is the Jan, Jörg, Lorenz, Marina, Oleg, and more. I don't know if you guys want to say something, but well, feel free as well. So basically, the challenge we had is that in Geneva, we started this project about mapping air quality. So the idea was to have these tiny devices that would take measurements all the time, that would allow you to know how to avoid bad air quality, and also to motivate policymakers to make the cities more livable by removing cars or adapting the traffic, just to enabling people to live a healthier life. And so what we had as a problem is that we collect a lot of data, but it's not so easy to collect because it's tied up to a smartphone. We use Bluetooth. So we wanted to explore new ways to collect the data, for example, using the Things network. But also we had issues with visualizing the data because we have an application, mobile app. I can show you now. The thing is that it works well, but it's not so, well, I turned off, but it's not so useful to see lots of different sensors. So basically it sees your exposure, but not what the city is made of. We also wanted to work on a better device. So we have several development tracks. The first one was, the most important one was to work on how to make sense of the data we collect. So basically the idea was to work on possible dashboards that could be displayed on a website. And this is examples, you can see on the slide, an example of the data you can get from the API, but no one can make sense out of it. So basically we went through, thanks to Dejan, Lawrence, of course, and Marina. So Oleg helped, we made iterations on ways to represent the data. So for now, we have this visual prototype of what it could be, how to display tiles with different ways to represent the information, depending on who you are as a user, whether you are a private citizen or a group or a government, an association, and so on. So Lawrence put a lot of work, and it's really great to have someone who has this experience and this practice to make visual information clear and more practical. So thanks again to him. So it changes a lot. Then there's also Oleg, who enabled us to visualize using Python data methods the data in. It's not real. I think it's real-time data. So there's a link on it. You can go to the presentation and click on it to see what happened. So that's also a great exploration. Basically, it's also exploratory for us to understand what we can do with technology, because database is not our kind. And about visualization, another thing that came out quite useful is that Lawrence came out with a very great way to visualize all the data points, because that on the left is what I can do with QGIS. Basically, it's mapping points, but it does not give a great idea on what's happening, and also no superposition and no time reference. So it came out with the idea of representing the data, the citizen gathered data as droplets that can be nicely superposed. So there are different settings. So you can change the way to represent it, and also there's a time reference, so data can fade in and out depending on how recent it is. So that's something we will use for sure, and that's a great way. Thanks again. And you see that what it gives when you go closer. Also, Diane worked on a real-time visualization. So it pulls data straight from your device ID on our API, and it makes you really feel air quality. So basically, you can represent the air quality as smiley faces or not so smiley faces. Apparently in Geneva right now it's not so good. Maybe I'm in a fab lab, and so that plays a role. But air quality is quite bad where I am. So thanks, Diane, for making me sad about it. Also, Marina worked on potential visualization and how to, so this is an interactive prototype on Adobe XD. So basically you can click on zones and then have more information, what's happening, and also data trends. So it's interesting for us to see what you can do with these tools. So thanks, Marina, as well. On other sides, one of the goals I had coming personally was to make our device able to use LoRaWAN and especially the Things network for data upload, to making independent of user smartphone, so you can just strap it to some wall and it stays up for the battery time, which is not so long because GPS and so on, but still. Thanks, Denis, for the library. That was an amazing help, because without that, I would have cried over. And thanks also, Gonzalo, for the help setting that in place, because I had timing problems, which was very simply solved, but I couldn't find the fix myself. I try to use the library on the STM32 I normally that is implemented on the device, but couldn't really. So basically, I said bleep it and daisy chain the devices. So you have serial communication to the Arduino BLE33 that itself streams the data to the Murata module. I hope to make that nicer soon enough, but it sends data. The data that was received in only just test data, it's fake packets, because I still have to implement basically there's a lot of data, so I have to contract all that and change the data representation and implement deltas and so on. So I'm not done with it. So we'll work in Geneva, and if anyone wants to participate in that, of course, welcome. And then there's also Jörg, who helped us come out with 3D design for the casing. So basically, that was a perfect example of digital remote fabrication. I don't even know how to distributed fabrication. I don't even know how to say that, because I think it's near Winterthur, and we could exchange measurements, and then he could send us STL files that were sliced locally. I don't know if Dejan managed to print one in Beat-Wäscherei, but I managed to print one in Geneva. And so we'll be iterating on that. So thanks again, Jörg. That's about it. If you're interested in any part of that, or if you want to comment or tell us that what you think about visualization, or criticize my code, you're just welcome. Thanks a lot, and thanks you to all the participants in the challenge I haven't named, and also thanks to the organizing team. Thanks, guys. Thanks, girls.
Thank you. Very cool stuff. All right, and let's move to the next project. The layer is already presented. So the next project is COVID Screen CH. That is Nathan, right? Nathan, are you around?
Hello, how's it going?
Hello, good.
Hi, it's quite dark now. In fact, bear with while I switch the light on. That's better. Hi, people can see me. Can everyone hear me okay? Cool. So, where were we? With regards to the COVID screen applications, so I'm just going to share my screen quickly, and then hopefully we can make some headway. So I've prepared this presentation. I've worked on this for quite a while. So originally, I think looking at how a lot of this came to fruition, I was tasked with creating a discrimination app that could separate between broken car parts and whole car parts. So I worked with AI for a little while and realized that actually I could probably put something together that was tablet based. So as a result, we ended up working with a group of highly intellectual developers, probably top-end PhD grads with severe AI skills. And the result was the COVID tablet was born. Now, the same device has been installed in several commercial applications. And I think today I'd probably be looking for co-founders. I'd be looking for people that could potentially help me out. so as to push the project forward. Originally, it started off as a tablet with several sensors, and a lot of the research and development came from several developers and several prototypists. But after a while, I realized that actually we could probably seek investors. We could suddenly check whether or not we could train the model, and we did. So out came Google Cloud Platform, and suddenly a lot of time and funds were spent on developing effectively an autonomous camera that could either detect people's facial recognition requirements, or effectively the power of AI was born. Now this was 2 years ago, before the COVID situation happened. So effectively the camera, I have a prototype actually, and it is here. I don't know if anyone can see it, but effectively we have several prototypes that we've already put together. And the idea is that the camera can scan 12 points on the head, on the forehead, and it's effectively included as an inner level. So effectively, there are several measurements that involve trying to curate whether or not there are actual symptoms from the previous effectively from previous training models that we put together. So far we're only as strong as our training models, which is why I kind of need some assistance with the next steps. Installation, maybe testing. Testability is going to be a question of deference, really. So far there's wavelength composition, and this is basically placed within 2 different sensors that can then either work within 1 or 2 optical channels, depending on how you build part of the optical FPA. Now, that configuration of the lenses involves either a single or a bifocal plane, depending on which resource to choose from. Moving forwards, I think historically it would be interesting to maybe discuss the high level. So the data flow works like so. You've got Google Cloud, AutoML, you've got the imagery, you've got the training models, you've got the evaluator, and then the predictor, and then the reverse logistics and the traceability. And finally, you've got visibility to return back to the actual source of the imagery. Now, these are basics for TensorFlow. And when you take a look at how you should recognize, say, a certain car part, well, that differs slightly from recognizing actual facial features. And I think taking you forwards to the next segment. So if you take a look at how to detect effectively a face in an image, you can normalize certain landmarks in the face, and then these facial features are extracted, and finally you can recognize the facial image, so the identity, the verification, and this is usually considered an ID. Now, this is actually quite useful because VisionML does that for you. You can find that in GCP, BigQuery ML will do the same if you are so keen. So I've put together a website called covidscreen.ch, and I've developed a lot of this with another colleague, and he's I think he's just completed his course at ETH in Zurich. I mean, I was actually born in Switzerland, but I went to the UK to study when I was little. So the point is that we now have a fantastic ability to maybe detect coronavirus on the fly using the prototype tablet. I would be looking to maybe assemble, hopefully, in Switzerland. Maybe we can test, possibly, if that's a likely scenario. I would also be possibly looking at the StarMind algorithm maybe, and see if we can improve the algorithm. But alone, I probably won't do much. So it's more important to maybe gather like-minded people. That's why I was very keen on the Hackspace. Looking forwards at how to gain more sensors, possibly. Maybe it would be prudent to look at the human biosphere, maybe. Possibly, there's research going into the human biodome, where one can detect static electricity coming off the human body. These things could be markers for those who are either infected or not. So again, something to think about, possibly. I think potentially I would be keen to discuss with other people after this call if there's anything that they could potentially help with, or whether there's anyone interested in maybe pushing the idea forwards within machine learning and effectively just AI really. And I did think of including Robodog there, because obviously that's probably all the rage right now. However, I did think I'd keep this presentation very short and sweet. So I should probably conclude by saying that I'm very grateful that you've created such a wonderful hack space, and obviously I look forward to meeting some of you at some point. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Nathan. Cool stuff. Right, let's go to the next project. The next one would be Max and Seobin.
Hi.
Hello.
So I should share my first screen here. So for the beginning, I have to set here, because I cannot make a fire in my room. I have to okay. The payload I have to change here. I have to simulate a fire. So it will send the temperature of 55 degrees, which is more than 50 degrees, and we decide that more than 50 degrees is enough that there is an fire. So starting with the presentation, yes, first the motivation is making better use of green spaces. The idea was from Marvin Burgin, and we measure if a fireplace is used and then send the data to the LoRaWAN. We used simply the Sensirion ESSC3 and the STM32. First, we had the discovery board here. Then we sent everything to Things Network, send it to a registry service, and then we displayed on a front end in a web interface. So now the demonstration. Here we have the registry service with all the data. And here we have the map. The map is based on the properties you will set on the front end, where you can register fireplaces and label them on the map. If you click on a fireplace, it will display here the time and temperature, and if the temperature is too high, there will be a status there is it's used at the moment. And yeah, that it is.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good. Then moving on to the next project that is called Green IoT Space. Green IoT Space.
Yeah, hello.
Hello, Adam.
Hi. So share the screen. Which is this one?
You're quite a few in your team, so maybe everyone can unmute, turn on the camera and say hi quickly.
I did this with Agnieszka, honestly.
Ah, okay, okay.
So could you see? Okay.
Your connection is breaking up a little bit. Maybe now it's better. Can you try? Um, we don't hear quite well. It's like a.
Maybe try turning off your camera. Maybe that helps.
Okay, maybe. Yeah, cool. Okay, maybe I just turn off the camera, and right now I should be heard.
Yeah,
and
much better.
everything is okay. Yeah. Okay, so with Agnieszka, who was walking around the beautiful Zurich hills, there was a motivation that we should just we're just interested if really these green spaces, these fireplaces and so on, are used by the people, because we are walking usually at the working time. So the questions we get is how many people have these green spaces, and which facilities people usually use, like more benches or like the places or so on. We also were quite interested from the perspective of the authorities if the facilities need to be maintained, like there is for example overload trash bin, or there is lack of wood near the fireplace, and how the weather affect the measurements, like if the people also use the facilities and for example, benches during the winter time or only in the summertime and so on. The first thing we just go through was to test all these nice sensors we get in the kit, and we found an idea. At first, we should see how many people visit such a green space. Measured by the time of flight sensors, laser sensors, like near the path that people usually go through, or like here you can see that there is a change in the distance, or even determination of the direction that they move. If the time of flight sensor is mounted somewhere above, they can measure the people is going into or out of such a place. Also, they can be such a mobile app that will show the places which are occupied by the people, and because some of the people really during this COVID time like rather calm places. So also another nice solution which can be used is to measure the amount of the trash into the trash bins or the wood, which can be done both by the time of flight sensor or by the this ultrasonic sensor, which also was in it. So about the facilities that people use, we just focus the topic also why they don't use it, or if they use it very rarely, because it can be for the dirty or in the direction of sun, or in a wrong this picture that it's totally opposite. Yeah? So our test was focused on benches. That we found a solution which can be acquired as a very cheap sensor that you put the photoresistors in between the wooden part of the benches, and then if someone sits, he simply put a shade on the sensor, which can result that that you can found even how many people are occupying the particular bench. So we make some tests test kit, and we just check if it works. Yeah. The next thing is about fireplaces, as other team also do. We test also both of the devices, like simply thermistor, which can be mounted somewhere under the fireplace or the grill, so it can be heated up by the fire, and we can easily detect without any troubles and very cheaply detect, because also such a sensor should be extremely cheap, because they have to be mounted in many places. And so, for example, using this thermal camera is honestly not needed in such a easy setting. Of course, we made some tests with it, but it was enough time to check it in real condition of the fireplace. Here we can see the results from the thermal camera that we did. Also, we think about additional thing, like if the weather has some just the effect on people, and which devices or facilities are used in the sunny conditions or in rainy conditions. Like if the people in the sunny conditions rather like to stay on the grass, or even they just wanted to sit in the shadow. So this we just a setting with this Sensirion sensor, and also acquire some data from it, and we want to put it up together to like a bigger device. The last thing about the UV level, about this sensor, we can use it to put such a pole with a nice light, which will show to the people if they should put UV cream on their skin, or it's safe enough that they can take a sun without additional protection. So we just test this sensor, but honestly, this UV level sensor, I don't know, but maybe it's not so good quality, because it gets quite bad results. Finally, we just made a simple device, which was a big challenge, because we've got a lot of problems with our LoRa gateway. We just even have to replace it. And then after hard days focusing with LoRa, which we completely does not understand, then finally we just put such a set that sends the frame through the LoRa through our gateway to the TTN network, and with such a frame that shows the occupation and the temperature from this resistor. So finally, it's quite hard work. I was in Zurich, I was in Poland, and coding through the internet, which having the hardware 1,000 kilometers apart was quite hard, but we made it. So what's next? We just want to finish the whole settings together. I mean, to put all the other sensors to our main board, and to get this sensor frame wider, and to get more information that we have right now. Also, we want to introduce others, especially in Poland, which you can see on this map, that it's a lack of the LoRa gateways. We just want to introduce others to this technology, and to show the possibilities that we can get from the LoRa. So thank you for attention. Thanks for the hardware, for all the support, and for nice organization.
Thank you very much, Gustav. All right. The next project is Purge the Tab. That is Marina, Pierre, Timeo, and Thomas, right?
No. Oops. Hello. No. Test. 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 Go to the next team. We come back later. Oh, okay. Apparently we're fine.
Yeah.
Hope you can hear me well. Okay. My name is Pierre. I'm in the team of Purge Data. I represent the sales and marketing team, the sales and marketing department in that team. And we're very proud today to have two solutions to present to Purge Data. One that is very modern, based on social media, and one which is old-fashioned, based on electronics, mechanics, physics, things I just don't understand. So I'll just present the social media-based solution, which is very easy. What we don't want is to be in troubles because oil went into the river. So with artificial intelligence today, we can very simply just watch the social media, and if oil goes into the river, very quickly people will start with geotagged pictures, complain that first it's stinky, and then when their dogs went swimming into the rivers, that it came back dead. So that's very easy to detect on the social media. And then first reaction, very quick and automated, is of course to close the valve, right? So let's stop the water and the oil going into the river. Then of course you want to remediate to the problem. So you want to start and launch a campaign of discretization. All those people who have reported stinky water or dead dogs in the water, that needs to be seen as fake news by all the other people on the net. And if that doesn't work, very easy, another campaign to just have it blamed on the factory next door, and then we're fine. Yeah? Well, seeing from your faces, you don't seem to all like that solution. You seem to want to hear about the old-fashioned things I don't understand, so I'll just give a talk to an engineer.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Timeo, and I will present you the old-fashioned way. Now, I think you have a problem with the slides. Who is sharing the slides? Okay, should we do it from your laptop? I will change laptop. Okay, I'm back. So Pierre explains you the problem. Now Yeah, as you said, we have an old-fashioned way. And the system looks like this. We have a central station and a peripheral station in each top. And the central station, it measures the water level using an ultrasonic distance sensor. The peripheral measures the distance to the top using a time of flight sensor. To detect oil, conductivity sensor is mounted to the floating station. And yeah, if there's oil, it will detect it. The central station is connected to the TTN network and sends data about the water level and if there's oil or not. And if the water level is too high, there are pumps that are starting to empty the top if there is no oil in it. Okay. Yeah, please. So if there is no oil, every 10 seconds, the peripheral sends data to the central. And the central, because of the small time window you have in TTN, sends data every hour to the TTN network. Now, if there is oil, the conductivity sensor will not get the same result as if it would be in fully water. And it sends data to the central. And if there is like only a little bit of oil, the central knows this and it just stops the pump. And this is not an emergency because the outlet of the top is like a siphon. So if you start the pump, it will take water from the lower level and not from top. So no oil will get into the river. And the back end from our side looks like this. And we have the TTN broker. Then we have a Docker host. For the proof of concept, we just created it on my computer. And in there we have a Telegraph container. This is like an MQTT client. And so he subscribes for the data of the device and then inserts data in the InfluxDB. We used Grafana to visualize the data. Now the proof of concept looks as follows. We have the floating station. On the left side, you can see what it consists of. It's a battery and the Arduino Nano BLE board, a conductivity sensor, which you can see on the right side, and a time of flight sensor, which looks through the plastic top of the case. Pierre could manage to borrow this vase from his wife, so we had something to test it with. And yeah, it's smaller than the actual top, but we were able to do some tests with it. Here you can see a demo. So first we let water in and the pump automatically starts to empty it. If you look at the PET bottle, you can see now the pump started and the water level goes down. Yeah, I mentioned the dashboard. It looks like this. You have the water level and the average, because those sensors can be disturbed very easily. So here basically on the left side, we have the level. on the right side, we have just the actual level, how it is at the moment. On the bottom, we have the conductivity left, and on the right side, the state of the pump, if it's on or if it's off. Now here, a demo with the oil. I'm not sure if you will be able to see something. But now the pump is taking water out of it, and now it's stopped. Okay, now we did a very simple solution for this problem. There were very much ideas how we could solve this. An interesting idea was to use UV light source to detect if there is oil in it or not. This picture shows you two bowls. In the right bowl, there was sunflower oil, and under the influence of the UV light, you can clearly see that there is oil in it. This was very complicated to see with image processing, and so I think this would be cool to do if you have more time, but for us, we did not go with that. Another possible solution would be to use weather forecasts to predict the water level. So if you know exactly how much it's going to rain in the next few hours, and you know at what level your tank has to be before you go home, and so nobody has to go up in the middle of the night and empty the tub. Okay, now Thomas will tell us something you can use. Christina?
Hi. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So I will first demonstrate the technology, and then later we can see the slides. So what you see here is that central, the base station, which all the sensor connects to, and then sends the data to the network. And as you can see, we measure not only the water level and the oil level, we measure all the environmental data, because I combined the Breeze project with the oil project. And from here, from that station, we send with the Micro modem, send all the data to the TTN, and from there we can do a lot of things. So I will show you this also. So data arrives here in the Things network, which you see we have this.
We're still seeing the base station, including environmental monitors.
To the Things peak. And as you can see here, we have all the data. You see CO2 level. Here we open the window.
Thomas?
And you can see all of the water level I measure right now.
Thomas, 1 second.
25 centimeters.
Wait, we're still seeing the sharing of... Now we go. There we go. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, and so from here you could do many things. You could also send to other platforms and make decisions and use alarms via SMS and put amples in. Yeah. Okay, can we have the slide? The slide.
For the slide, I think you need to stop sharing and then share it on the other computer.
Yeah. But you have the screen share. But you see this screen only. Yeah, now you have the screen share. Ah, okay. Stop share. Okay. So now I can talk. Okay. So here we see the hardware of the base station and the test environment on the right side with the time of flight sensor. On the left slide, you see this Bluetooth, this module for the LoRa, and the antenna we can tape inside the case and all the sensors. Can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, here on the left side, you can see amples, CO2 level, it's red because it's over 900. And on the right side, you can see the case for that station. Maybe you go to the next slide. So the case was done not with 3D printing, it was done with a rapid prototyping CNC drilling, and you can do it very quick. And on the right side, you see one of the challenges. The challenge was because we want to put everything in a small case, we couldn't use the big board from ST for the LoRa. So we went into that venture and used that small module, which we had to solder and make a breakout board. And at the end, it played out, so it works now. So we can build a very small hardware with all the sensors fitting in. So that was the motivation to use the small modem instead of the big one.
Pretty cool stuff.
Okay.
Are you done with the presentation?
Okay,
the whole team?
I think we all would like to say thank you. It was yeah, it was fun and we really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome stuff. Thank you very much.
Cool, thanks.
Cool. The next project is Bello Parkley from Kenny. Kenny, are you still around?
Yes, I'm here. Sharing the screen. Okay, so we are the team working on the bicycle parking challenge. It was me, Emanuele, and Isabel. And our basic question was, where can I park my bike? So the problem is the city of Zurich has a lot of bicycle parking stations, but some look like the left, very crowded and almost no space to park your bike. And others very near sometimes look like the one on the right. There is a lot of space where you could park your bike. So our idea was to measure if a bike parking slot is occupied with some sensors, and then redirect the cyclists to a less crowded parking spot, and expose the status of all these parking spots as open data, and also show them in a nice Grafana dashboard. What's the overview of our solution? We developed a small sensor using the ultrasonic sensor, which sends data to the Things network, and from there we send it to a backend, which then presents it as an open API or as in an app. So Emanuele will talk more about the background, and I will shortly introduce you to the sensor. So this is the sensor here in its disassembled state. And in the picture, you can see it mounted on an actual parking for a bike and working there. It uses this ultrasonic sensor and the TTGO LoRaWAN board to send the data to the backend. It just detects if something is closer to a certain threshold, and if something is closer, like this bike wheel, it will send an occupied message, and if it's far further away, it will send a free message. So, Emanuele, are you there to talk about the backend?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so we follow the HTTP integration with the TTN application. So what we get from the backend is payload in JSON format containing the distance of the bicycle or the object is in front of the sensor. We get flags stating if the rack is occupied or not. And there's a future-proof flag is saying which rack this information is about. The main idea here is to have multiple sensors in each station, and the device can send multiple information about multiple racks. If we go to the next slide, I show the main idea on the back end. So the sensor data is stored into the database, mainly MySQL database and InfluxDB for time series. And we implemented a set of APIs to fetch the occupancy of the station that's live, so you can check that. And Kenny's sensor it was sending information up to a few minutes ago. It's cool. And the example that I gave below is the information that you get from the Open API, and basically telling you, okay, the station ID, it's completely busy because there are no free racks, and the rest of the information are pulled from the Zurich data, open data. Yeah. Next. So yeah, we had a few challenges, let's say. The first one is that, yeah, during the COVID, everything is hard. And yeah, as I wrote here, the firefighter we met before starting the team. So really kudos to Kenny to keep up the good work there and pinging me on Friday when, okay, let's do something. And from my original plan to use Grafana, it's not as straightforward as I expected or we expected to use, especially if you have zero previous knowledge about that. And the last but not least, yeah, having a 2-month-old baby is keeping things interesting, and yeah, she doesn't like hacking yet, but maybe in the future she will. And we have a few more of these for the next steps. First of all, as we mentioned before, to have one single device scanning multiple racks. That's to reduce the power consumption and also the costs. And maybe having an infrared sensor to find when it's the right moment to scan the racks for bikes or not. The idea is to not scan during the night, for example, because yeah, there is no movement, so there is actually no change. And yeah, maybe having a better. Can you hear the baby screaming? Hope not. And
but it's
yeah,
fine.
the next idea is to have the waterproof assembling and maybe solar powers to power the devices there. Yeah, from the software point of view, the idea is to really implement an API, an app that should consume the APIs and furthermore integrate into the Zurich Open Data portal to properly fetch the information about the parking places. And as I mentioned before, to finish, really implement the Grafana dashboard with live monitoring of the stations. And yeah, that's it, I think.
Yeah, thanks a lot to all the organizers. It was a very nice hackathon.
Thank you very much, guys. Very cool stuff.
Yeah.
And like really kudos for doing it with a baby. That's some serious challenge.
Yes, it is.
Okay, we're getting close to the end, I think, because we have video roulette, which Gandalf already introduced. Embed OS Thing Network. I think that's Max. That's you already presented, right? It's the same project split into multiple sub projects. I'll take the silence as a yes. Awesome green space backend. Same thing. This is Max. Then Breath Fit. Basil, Julia, and Emmanuel. Are you guys around? Maybe not. Okay. Then I think we might actually be over. Like there's these are the projects that were suggested, but the OPAS project, I believe it's not didn't continue. Awesome Green Spaces frontend, same thing. Sub project. Move the chair. Is that a project? Thomas and AJ. I don't know.
I think Thomas is offline, so I don't think he's here.
Maybe just ask if you missed anybody.
Yep, I think we are done with the list. So, are we missing anyone? Dejan, do you want to show something at the end that you said you wanted to show, or?
It was just the floor and it's working a little bit better now, so it knows where you touch it.
Cool.
The light is not like this. Yeah.
Nice. Cool stuff. All right. Then let me share my screen quickly. So yeah, we had a lot of projects, a lot of fun, a lot of interesting discoveries. I think most of all, a lot of learning. Everyone learned something new for sure. One last but very important thank you note to all the challenge stakeholders who put in time to prepare upfront, during, and after. Like, thanks a lot. Really, really great stuff. And now, what is next? We have the following proposal. We could go into a very short breakout room per challenge, so that you can have a final word with your stakeholders. Like maybe, yeah, if you want to, yeah, just a quick discussion, just 15 minutes, not more. And then I would say we could all send like kudos to things that we liked during the project, during this week. Just send a thank you note on Make Zurich channel to anyone that that did something that you like, or yeah, anything. And finally, we will send you all a survey per email. So we would love to hear your feedback, and to improve in future events.